Welcome, everybody, to our historical podcast. Just kidding. It's Two Guns, No Ammunition. I'm Billy Two Guns. We are No Ammunition. We're going to get started. Quick mic identifier. I'm Bill, and I'm back from Ireland.
I'm Chris, and I never left.
We have a connection.
I'm Genevieve, and I have a pretty sweet-ass bruise.
That's Lisa. She doesn't get to do an intro because she wouldn't do a raptor noise. And that's Frank, because he's also a bitch boy and wouldn't do his equivalent of a raptor. I'm just kidding.
If I was a bitch boy.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
No.
I unmuted you. It's fine.
I'm Lisa, and I refuse to do a raptor noise.
You need to speak closer to the mic.
She hates America.
Was that not close enough?
Yeah, that cut out for a second. Maybe I can
Oh.
fix it.
All right. Well, I'm still not doing the raptor noise.
Well, it's fine.
Still Lisa. Still
Frank,
not.
get
We're
us
just not
back on
friends.
the
We're
rails.
just not friends anymore.
I attempted to try and kick as high in the air as I could today, and I fell flat on my ass while doing it.
Did you pull your ass?
Just
No.
because, or
Oh, yeah,
was
because
it
I was
dare?
Self-defense.
I was trying to kick as high as I could, and then of course I was trying to get Frank to do it, and then he fell over.
I cleaned the kitchen floor today, so it was extra slippery.
You did this in the house?
Yeah.
He was in the kitchen.
It does not sound like an adult thing to do.
I'm Jake, and I don't do any adult things.
All right.
except that Triceratops noise.
Yeah.
We're not quite as traveled as the others, but we will give a brief summary of what we did. Genevieve and I invaded a foreign land. We went to
30-second timeout, Bill. I was nice and limber because it was leg day at the gym today.
oh,
there
okay.
we
I was
go.
like all stretched out.
Okay. We invaded a foreign land. We went to Ireland, and immediately upon landing, I flubbed 2 local customs. I tried to serve myself at what appeared to be a self-serve buffet, and it was not, and the gentleman was not happy about it. And then I tried to bust my own tray of dishes, and there was nowhere to take it. And the lady had to tell me to put it down. So started off the trip. But it was good. We were over there for 8 days. We played some rugby. We won both. And for the second time, this is the second time I've gone to Ireland, we had a 30 Guinness challenge on St. Patrick's Day. And Genevieve she's a little tiny lady. She got a handicap version. She was going for 20 ciders.
We were walking too much for me to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have enough time to catch up.
Some guys went and did 30 beers.
30 Guinness.
Damn.
The next day, we had to get them up to get on the plane. We were leaving the next day, and there was poop all over a number of rooms. Somebody broke a toilet, and I don't know, he broke the toilet seat
How
off.
he broke the toilet seat in twain.
Yeah, and they charged him for it, but they charged him €20, and I was like, they have never had this happen before, and
They
they're
have
like,
no idea how much
what
it's
are we
worth.
going to charge this fucking guy? I don't know, €20, and get out of here, fucker. And they're like, okay, it was like $22. So the exchange rate was really good over there. Countryside's beautiful.
Yes.
I had this feeling like driving through, it reminded me, now I'm not saying they're equivalent, you little fucking nitpickers listening. But I got reminded a lot of the Appalachian Mountains, in that Ireland has mountains, and they are very small. They're old, but the difference is there's no trees. No, they outlawed them. No trees anywhere. There's fucking sheep everywhere. And also, when all the Irish people were dying because of the famine, I learned because the English were like, you don't get to eat your own food because we're not sinking this market, so die.
Basically, England took all the food that Ireland was producing at the time.
Except for the potatoes.
And
So-
no.
No, they were taking like everything.
They had enough food to feed them, but they wouldn't let them. They made them ship it out to support. Anyway, they're like,
the
here's how we're
empire.
going to save the economy. We're going to pay these guys $1 a day to build walls, and they built them everywhere
And anywhere.
Yeah, and like, you'll look at a mountain and you'll be like, oh, that looks pretty precarious to climb, and then you look, and you're like, what? Oh, there's a stone wall.
Just directly up.
Goes right up the side. It's been there 800 years.
Not even at an angle, like full, like I guess
Yeah.
right angle from the base of the mountain up straight to the top.
And it was like a point of pride. Like, yeah, we're fucking, that's how we Irish do it. We fucking do it. We do it so far. Like, I don't even know what phrase he used. I was a
Build the
foreigner in a
stone
strange land. I said that more than once. And so it's beautiful. But the mountains, if you get into mountainous PA, there's like lots of them. they're like all over the place, right? Mountain, and then right behind is another mountain. Then behind there's another mountain. In Ireland is like
ripping with trees, of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're like, here's a mountain, and then it sort of flattens out, and then over there is a really small one, and then over there is a kind of longer one, and it was so unbelievably beautiful. I'm just mad at myself that I didn't take my glasses to see it even more clearly. Like I have pretty good vision without them.
So we have to
but
go
like,
back.
Oh my God! How beautiful was that whole place? We took a day tour on a bus, and they showed us everything.
It was.
Drove us all over. It literally is a different green over there. I know it sounds ridiculous, like I'm jerking off the whole of Ireland, but the green is different, okay? And so that I really enjoyed that. And then we saw an old abbey. We saw the outside of it. They wouldn't let us in.
Yeah, we didn't get to go in because they're, I guess, reconstructing or refurbishing.
We went to a castle that they didn't let us in, although we did wander through a door, and if we had lied, we could have stayed. They're like, they thought we were there for a medieval dinner, and we're like, no, we just wandered in here. But they were doing a medieval dinner, and that was pretty cool. So I at least got to see it with my eyes. And then around it was a petting zoo in which they had 2 pigs who had the gall to not wake up when I talked to them. They had
even in their own language.
Dude, they had a goose. They had some geese there, and I fucking got them fired up. I went over, I was like, honk, honk, and this goose looked at me. He's like, are you really? And I was like, yeah. And then
Irish goose was gonna fuck him up.
And he starts walking over at me, and he sticks his big dumb neck out like a big dork. I've never seen it like this. And he's like, hello, shaking his head and fluffing out his arms. And I'm like, I know what I'm gonna fucking hiss at him like those Canadian geese hiss at me. So I'm going, you know how they do.
Yep.
And he didn't know what that meant. So he got over to me, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I was shooketh. Right, he got to me, and I was like, "That gate's closed, right?" Fortunately, it was. And then he backed down because I'm a human being, and there was a gate. But I think he would have had me walk away if there wasn't a gate there. I thought that goose was going to bite my balls, and I can only imagine that's not pleasant. I can only guess. Then there were some sheepdogs. No, not sheepdogs.
No, wolfhounds. Irish wolfhounds.
They're cute.
They have crazy eyes. And they're 6 feet tall.
They look so sad.
They have alligator eyes. Like, yeah, they're sad and ready to kill. So, but they were cool.
Ready to kill because they're trapped.
Yeah, there were some goats. The goat got out. But
yeah, little baby goat got out.
So they have this system over there. Like, you buy sheep and then you paint a color on them. They don't brand them like we brand cows over here. They just paint them with spray paint, and then they go, see you in 9 months. And they let them outside. And then they just go all over the mountain. And like no farmer is like, you can't come on my land. They all just fucking just let them go. And then like one day they go, I need my sheep back. And they just
go collect.
Get a dog. And the dog runs up these mountains. Now, we were looking at these mountains, no trees to get caught on. And there's a sheep way at the top. I'm like, if that guy tripped and fell, he'd be looking like a hot dog halfway down, just a tumbling, everything coming off. I don't know how they do it. But somebody went to the Aran Islands, which is like take a ferry across, which apparently is very unpleasant. We missed the bus by a minute. It left at 9:15. We walked out the door at 9:15.
No fucking bus.
So I slept. They are like, oh, it's a 5-kilometer bike ride. Apparently these guys were pedaling for like 4 hours, and then they had to hike over these rocks. But there was some locals there on this island in the Atlantic, and there was a dog, and these Americans went over and were like petting the dog. And they went, you fucking Americans ruining our dogs.
So that was a joke for the rest of the
trip.
trip.
So we would, every once in a while we'd see a dog and we'd be like, don't fucking touch it. Don't ruin it. I'm sitting there, I'm like, was this guy really so like, first off, enough Americans come to your island that they encounter your dog with enough frequency that they're ruining it? What is your dog? Does it work in the gulag? And like some level of compassion and care will break its black heart? Like, I don't, you've ruined it. I'm like, you're just a, well, I wasn't there, but I was like, those guys are just jerks.
He'll never herd sheep again.
Wait, were you in the
figure it out.
Republic of Ireland or Northern Ireland?
Republic.
We were in the real Ireland.
Okay.
Republic.
So we were in Galway to start, and then we went to Dublin. I really liked Galway.
Yeah, me
Little
too.
college town. So it was like a different vibe. I went to Galway and County Cork last time, and Genevieve didn't go. We just started hanging out back then. But one thing I love about their whole fucking country is every building you look at, you're like, oh, that is a rinky-dink, tiny medieval building because all their roads are narrow and everything's old. But then you go in and it's like a fucking like Hobbit city. Right? Like you go to the back of the building, you're like, surely this is the terminal wall. Nope. More space. Like our hotel, you went up a building over an old roof that they had boxed in and then into another building, and that's where we stayed, right? Because they've been there 800 years or whatever, 1,000 years, and they're like, I guess we'll use this space. So there was always a cool little nook. And the thing I really like about the bars, it's all wood. It's all beautiful. The drinking culture over there is so fucking relaxed, by and large, in my experience. Now, if you're Irish and you're listening, you're like, you're fucking wrong, you dumb American cunt. Whatever. I'm going to ruin your dog. So
I'm going
to.
So, no, but like these places don't have enough room for Americans to be as drunk as these people were. Because let me tell you, everybody I met at the bar was fucking shithoused. As soon as they talk to you, you're like, oh my God. You must have been drinking since a child because you're wasted, and I can only tell when you speak nonsense. Now, was it their accent? No. I've learned to understand most of it. They were actually drunk. But everybody over there is chilled out. They just kind of like sit in their chair, and they have nice conversations. And, well, I don't know if they're nice conversations. They have quieter conversations. And the thing is, like, they say Americans are loud, and you're like, how can that be? It's by necessity because there's a bad apple. Over there, everybody talks kind of like this. And if we went out into a normal American bar and we were talking like this, we would never hear each other because somebody's talking louder. So we have to talk louder, and it adds to the din. Over there, everybody talks like this, and you can fucking hear it. And I was like, oh my God, this is wonderful. So if I had been single over there, I would have liked it because in America, if you want to approach a girl at a bar, you got to go up and you're like, hey, how you doing? Because it's loud. And guess what? When you're drunk and you're 300 pounds and you're 6'3" and you shout at a young lady's face, they don't generally like it. As nice as your intentions may be, they're like, whoa, I'm getting some murder vibes here. And I go, really? No, I'm a nice guy.
Those dog ruining vibes.
They could turn down the music at the bars.
They could.
In the U.S.
They could, but they won't.
Be very helpful.
But over there, they don't even have to.
It's fun if it's not blasting music, though.
They had live.
Turn it down.
Free Meek Mill.
They had live bands all the time.
As long as they turn them down, I'm fine with it.
Okay, little aside. I was talking to Sean, friend of the podcast. He goes to this bar up there, some dump. I can't remember what it's called, Tupies or Turners or Cups or Chippers or I don't know. Yeah, and he drives up to it. It's the middle of Podunk, and it literally holds like 20 people. And he drove up, and he's like, oh, I don't remember turning my radio on in my car. Wasn't the radio. It was the speakers in this bar. The DJ has like full-sized concert speakers, and he turns them all of the way up for a room of 20 people.
No.
Yes. There's always a fist fight there. So
they're just mad about how they can't hear each other.
Hey, how you doing today? What the fuck you call me?
Yeah.
No, they're just trying to use sign language, but
and it gets aggressive.
Yeah. So, what else did we do? We played a couple games of rugby over there, and the soft soil was really nice because I hit my head on it. This one time I was like tackling a guy, and then I decided I was going to try to strip the ball, which is legal. And somebody's like, actually hold them up and form them all, which if you form them all in rugby and something happens, the other team turns the ball over and you get it. So it's good. So I was holding this guy up, and my arm was over his shoulder, but I had started to try to scoop the ball, but I was just holding on to it. Well, it looked like I was choking him to pass her by. So these Irish players came up and they started slapping my arm and like punching it. And I was like, oh, I guess this is just a thing the Irish do in rugby. I guess they do an Irish arm slap. You know, I'm culturally open-minded. So I just kept doing what I was doing. And they got madder and madder, which there's a delay, okay, when their tone changes, because they already talk in a way that sometimes confuses me. And I was like, I don't know what they're saying, but they sound sort of mad. So the whole thing ended, and the guy like gets in my face and he's yelling at me, and I have literally no idea what he was saying. None. But he got in my face and he like put a hand on me, so I pushed him. I was like, okay. I was like, am I going to get into an international fight here? And the guy looked me up and down, and he's like, and his friend comes over, he goes, something, 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 be smart. And I was like, I feel dumb. But I didn't understand.
I love the image of like this big dumb American just like play rugby.
Yeah.
Why are you pushing me?
I can't like I have reflected on this moment so many times, been like, because especially when I'm playing sports, pretty simple guy, you know, like I'm just there to play, and like my brain didn't know what was going on with these people, but it recognized the situation. I should push him away from me. Ugh. Which isn't a big deal in a sport where people regularly do punch each other and tackle and all that stuff. So they had a clubhouse and it was great. I found out I can drink non-alcoholic Heineken over there, which every bar had. It has, I guess, very little stuff that I'm allergic to, but it makes me fart a lot. And so Genevieve said I was not allowed to try to drink 60 of those because that was going to be my version of the 30 Guinness challenge. But what else? What else was interesting? Is there anything else worth mentioning? Oh, we went to the Cliffs of Moher. There are these 715-foot tall cliffs, like I guess in California. No wonder everybody over there is so fucking like everything's fine. It's beautiful. It's probably even more beautiful than these. But we go to these cliffs and there's like an old castle on it, an old abbey, and we're looking and the wind's blowing and
almost died.
Somebody got proposed to, and then you have to walk along this like embankment so you don't get blown away, and you're not supposed to walk by the cliff. And anyway, the path gets flooded, so I go to the
Bill,
right.
I really doubt that you were going to get blown away.
Whoa.
Well, I go to the right, and it's all mud, and I'm in my basketball shoes, and I was like, oh, I see footprints here. This is safe. But I was so focused when I looked back. I was like, I was only on a 3-foot wide section of mud.
Yeah,
above
like
715 feet of cliffs. I was like, oh, I almost died because I'm fucking stupid. There's a path right there I should have gone on. So, but other than that, I mean, it's incredibly beautiful. The people were really, really nice. One rugby club canceled a game with us because it was too rainy. I was like,
and then sent us to the wrong bar.
You live in Ireland? Like, you're not ready for the rain?
And you play rugby?
Yeah.
And
they're like,
yeah,
they sent us to a bar. I slept through it. Genevieve went. And they're like, yeah, go to this bar. And they show up, and it's old people and a family silently doing trivia. They're like, meet us there at 9:30.
Yeah.
And the canceled game was at 7. And they're like, oh, we'll be there in a half hour. And we're like, oh, they're playing a joke on us. Fucking motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to highlight from the trip?
No, I don't think so, because I feel like most of the touristy stuff you've already touched on. Otherwise, it was just a lot of drinking. It seemed like about every 3 or 4 storefronts was a bar over there, and they all had like the same font, or like the sign was like the same type, but obviously different names, which I thought was pretty cool. Like consistency.
What I will tell you, I love being in a walkable city. Like cars you get through, but they're all small. And it's like, I understand the efficiency of being able to drive trucks with goods into cities with wide roads and blah, 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 blah. You just can't do it in these old towns. And you can just fucking walk everywhere. And you don't have to worry about getting run over. And it was amazing. I walked into a sports store, and everything's just smaller. And they didn't have a lot of selection, but I still bought something.
We saw Gaelic football and hurling.
Yeah,
on St. Patrick's Day.
Gaelic football's not as cool as I thought. You can't actually tackle each other.
I'm still not entirely sure about either of them because, Gaelic football, to me, it looked like a mix of basketball, soccer. I think that's it for that one. Because then hurling was like lacrosse, but also tennis and soccer. Yeah,
so what they carry around basically these field hockey looking sticks. They flip the ball over the air, they hit it through the goalpost for 1 point, or they hit it in the net for 3 points. And I had a really nice, really friendly guy from Cork explain this to me, but he was
sitting next to us.
We were barely speaking the same language.
Dude, all right. So I want to say
when I was in London last summer, right? I was in the hostel I was staying at, and I went downstairs to the bar to hang out for a while. And it wasn't a very big bar. It was probably kind of like the one you were describing, but maybe even a little smaller because 20 people would have been pretty crowded in there. It was twice the size, I would say, of this bedroom. It was small. There were a couple of Scottish guys that were there, right? And I know Scotland and Ireland are by no means the same country, but a lot of people consider the accents pretty similar. So these guys were talking. There's this one guy specifically that was hitting on this Russian girl that was staying on there. And I thought it was the funniest thing in the world because this was at a small table where there were like 6 of us, right? And this Russian girl would like look at me and she would be like, knowing that I am, and this British kid who was there from like Northern England, right? And obviously being English speakers. Now she spoke fluent English very well, I might add. And she would like, he would talk to her and say something to her, trying to hit on her. And she would like look to me like, what the hell did he just say?
Yeah.
I did not understand a word of it. And I would like, now I'm pretty good at understanding accents, especially because I worked on a phone, like in a call center for a year and a half. So I've talked to people of all sorts. I thought the guy was speaking clear as day. And this girl would look at me and be like, I did not understand a single word he just said. So I kind of know where you're coming from, where like there are definitely people that don't understand those accents. I just am not one of them.
So
Privilege.
When we were over there, everybody was really friendly until we got to Dublin. And Dublin has a lot of tourists, and it was right around St. Patrick's Day when a lot of tourists come in, and some people there really don't like it. So in fact, the last time I was there, some guy was bitching at me because I was telling him we were doing our 30 beer challenge, and he's like, "You don't fucking drink like that at home, do you?" And I was like, I didn't want to seem like an alcoholic, so I was like, no. And then he's
I'm
like,
just an asshole.
He's like, say they don't fucking come to our country. I was like, you know what, butthead? Yes, I do drink like that at home because I'm on a rugby team and we're professional drinkers. So suck my ding dong. I didn't say that to him. I didn't have the gall, but. Same guy who asked me if this team beat ye. And I was like, what? Beat? Do you guys not say that in America? I was like, oh, beat you.
Beat ye.
I'm like,
enunciate.
Sorry I upset you in your country. So we go to Dublin and we get there and we're there early and the rooms aren't ready. And the lady has given us a load of attitude. I existed in the space, and she's like, "Okay, 3 o'clock," and we're like, "Okay, fine." I mean, she's calling out people's names as like, as they're getting ready, and I'm like, "Whose name did you say?" And they're like, "What? Are you good?" In Irish accent, and I was like, "I'm just trying to get the last name of the person to confirm," and they're like, she would just stare me down. So I was like, "All right, whatever." Well, we come back at 3, and guess what? Our room isn't ready. And I was only mad because that one lady was mean to me. And I was thinking about saying something about it.
We were also the only ones left who hadn't had our rooms.
I was thinking about saying something about it. But the lady I was talking to was maybe Polish or something. I don't know the accents that well over there. But talking to Paz, friend of the podcast, he says like a lot of the Eastern Europeans come over and do those kinds of jobs. And I was like, I'm looking at her and I'm like, this lady has an accent and she's used to hearing Irish English, which isn't even her English that she's used to, right? So, and then I'm coming in with my American English and I'm going to bombard her with a problem about my service. I'm like, nah, not worth it. I mean, too many degrees separation. Fuck it. Maybe.
But our room at that hotel, I think you mentioned it earlier, but the hotel was like almost in 2 parts. Like it looked like it was like
we had to leave the building and go in another door to get in the hotel.
But it was like right next to it and attached because it was like townhomes that had been.
Oh, okay. I mean that makes sense. That's fine.
Yeah, and I mean it was all really nice and all that, but we go and we're like, all right, we need to find what was like 5,000 something like that. Like it's going to be on the 5th floor, and we find the elevator, which I think was like on the half levels for some reason. But we get in, and the highest number is 3. And we go up to 3, and then it's like 2 more flights of stairs to get to our tiny, tiny room, which had a sweet window.
Yeah, it's almost like, why even bother with the elevator? But whatever. The most important thing to tell you about Ireland is the following. They have, there's 2 things. One, they have their own version of Jerry Springer. Yeah, it's called Jeremy Kyle. I think they make it in the UK, and it plays on this channel RTE.
Excellent.
And we went to a book release. One of the guys who used to play on my team is a professor, and he teaches Irish history. He released a book about the Gaelic, about the Irish language, and they said something about like they didn't like RTE, or their kids were not watching it because they're trying to learn. So I don't know what it is. I don't know, maybe if it's an English thing. But Jeremy Kyle brings in these people that if you think the English accent sounds smart, this will change your view.
Oh, no.
They were calling the police on each other. They were arguing. But my favorite thing about this guy is he doesn't stand and talk to them. There's 2 steps down from the platform. He sits on his butt on the steps in the middle of them and talks to them from the ground.
But he also like turns his body like he's laying like a mermaid on a rock.
Yeah.
To talk to the
It is really
guests.
The best game show I've ever seen. There were 2 of them over there. One gets an honorable mention. It's called Chaser. And it's like they get celebrities on and they answer these questions, and then they have some big nerd. And most of them were like 400 pounds. So you know they study hard. That's all they do is study. And they ask them trivia questions. And like if you fuck up and the nerd answers the question right, they catch up to you and you lose money and whatever. That was a good show. But tipping point. Sounds dumb. You ever played one of those games at David Buster where you drop the coin in and it goes down, there's a sliding shelf, and it pushes a coin over and you get tickets?
My favorite game at Dave & Buster's. If you find the right one, you can get a fuck ton of tickets.
Well, they turned that into a game show, and I was like, this is stupid. And then I watched 100 episodes, and it's my favorite. And the game show host wants you to win.
Yeah, he's like super excited about you getting stuff right. And he's like, I don't know, is that the right answer? We'll find out. Like,
different vibe. And they win like 50 pounds of coin, and they're competing for 10,000. And I loved it. So overall, I give it 100 Shamrock Shakes out of 500 Cliffs of Moher foam sprays. What do you
let's see. Do 6 Shamrock Shakes out of 7.
Can't do Shamrock Shakes. You got to do something else.
6 Lucky Charms.
All right. A little on the nose, but they don't call them Shamrock Shakes over there. They just call them shakes.
Weed shakes.
No, didn't we confirm that someone went and got one?
Okay, so now we're back, and we have a couple of things to touch on. Before we get into the industry discussion that I want to have, I do want to mention, did you guys see that they ran a test? They have 2 sites in the United States where they did this to confirm that gravity propagates itself as a wave. Anybody seen this article?
No.
How does that work?
Here is how they did it.
Wait, but how does the gravity work if the Earth is flat?
Here's how they tested it. They have multiple sites to account for anomalies.
Monopolies.
100,000 of miles. One's in like Louisiana, one's in like Washington State or something. And what they did is they put mirrors 3 kilometers down a 90-degree split down these 2 arms, 3 kilometers each way, and they shoot a laser and they bounce it back and forth a bunch of times because we all know lasers move at 186,000 miles per second. So in order to have some level of delay, you need to...
In a vacuum,
reflect it. So what they did is they bounced them, and they had it so that they were half a phase out of sync. So when one wavelength was up, the other one was down, the light. And when they collide, the light just cancels itself out, goes away. This, interestingly, is... Australians, they use 3-phase electrical current, and they're all like a third of a phase out of sync. So if you run 3 wires of these phases, you can power 3-phase motors and stuff, And then you don't have to run a wire back because they just cancel each other out at the end. So they don't have a whole loop. It just goes out, doesn't come back. Anyhow, what they did is they had them and they measured the light, and where it was supposed to hit each other, it would cancel out. But every once in a while, they received some light energy. And this was because gravity, as it was propagating as a wave, think like in the ocean, changed the distance between the mirrors, changing the location of the crests and falls of the waves so they'd no longer canceled out. Boom, confirmed gravity propagates as a wave.
It moved the mirrors?
It changed the distance between the mirrors. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Gravity's broken.
That's nuts.
It's not real. I thought that was interesting to mention.
So wait, does that then disprove the existence of the Higgs boson?
No. I think what it does is I think there's a hypothesis that gravity behaves with like gravitons or something. And you know how electrons behave as waves until you measure them?
Well, all particles at the base level behave as both waves and matter. They have both wave and like solid matter properties. It's the wave part of this is all about what Heisenberg said.
So
You're goddamn right.
anyway, apparently gravity propagates as a wave. So you know what? You're welcome. Listen, I'm just enough a teaser. If you like it, read about it. We did it. We're here. We figured out the universe, the omniverse. The next thing that I want to talk about, finally related to video games and our program, Spotify, cool music here, is releasing in India. There's like 1 billion people over there. So if 1 in a million people listens to us, we could get 1,000 listeners over there. And they're doing a paid subscription for only $1.67 a month. I don't know how many rupees that is.
Money.
Exactly. And they
Like 100 rupees.
maybe we should start having an India section of our show. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of India video game? What's big over there?
Vishnu.
Yeah, we need to.
Just say that every podcast.
I think we need a correspondent in India. We call him up and say, "What are you playing right now?"
All right.
Elephants.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm not playing anything. It's heating up on the border with Pakistan." And we'll go, "Cool."
That's the end of our India section.
But I don't know. I think we were talking about trying to get on Spotify. If we could do it, I mean, maybe we get super huge. There are a lot of comedians that do better overseas than they do over here.
Bill, how many dads do you have in India?
I don't think I have any.
Well, I don't think we're going to do very well then.
Why not? Maybe they like our style.
They might. I was just really hoping for like an answer of like, oh, well, I have 2 million, in which case we'd be set.
Yeah,
right?
It'd be real popular. Listen, if we get a bunch of listeners over there, wow, we'll just move over there.
You could just start a cam session where you just call a bunch of Indian dudes daddy, and
That would get us viewers. I think.
would get us viewers.
Yeah.
All right.
Senpai.
Wait, what?
I mean, that happens.
Anybody have any thoughts? I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Like,
in Japan, Lisa,
Not India.
It's all Asian.
so this is
Whoa,
like
whoa.
you're fired.
this is where everybody's been predicting that technology really wants to go in recent years. Like, there's been talk about, I think it was Elon or maybe Bezos, I don't know, one of those guys, and they're like, we're going to launch satellites and just give the whole world free internet. Now, why would they do that? What they want to do is guarantee a market in these places like India and China, in these emerging and growing markets, and they want to make sure that they can get data to mine and get people to sell to. And smartphones have exploded all over the world. They're way outselling PCs and other technology. Everybody has a fucking there's 100 smartphones each over there. Hundreds of them. Thousands. So people are like, the future market is in India with all this tech shit, and now we see Spotify's there, so the future is now. So I'm pretty interested to see what kind of influence that has in like the global market. Will they keep everything sort of separate? Will it be like, this is how we sell to Americans, this is how we sell to Europeans, this is how we sell to Indian people? Or will we see
this is an interesting question. And in international business, they refer to this as globalization, or I can't remember the other name, but it's like local. It's essentially like the local marketing.
Localization.
Yeah. It's like
after globalization.
Local. I can't remember the names, and it's pretty bad because 2 weeks ago we covered this in my international business class. But it's essentially like. And it's funny, like what we did in this class, it was actually a very fun class where for about 20 minutes, we watched commercials for large companies, like stuff that is sold here in the United States. And we tried to determine whether or not that was like a global advertising campaign or a demographic specific, like a local country specific marketing campaign. So like we watched a commercial for BMW in Germany, and a commercial for BMW in the United States, and a commercial for BMW in China. Mm-hmm. And the weird, like the best thing was we watched it without subtitles or a dub. So we were hearing, now I speak German, so like I understood what they were saying in the German one, but I had no idea what the fuck they were saying in China. But we tried to determine, is this like, what are the differences between what they're trying to talk about, and like how does that represent in its cultural differences in the country they're advertising in? And do you think that was this adapted from the original one, or is this completely new for this specific country? Like, is this a completely separate advertising campaign? We also watched one for Apple. Funniest thing that I thought for, for Apple, it was for the MacBook. And it was like, in the United States, it was this woman who found a picture of her grandfather in like a World War II, like his old like war photo, and she went and she found a recording somehow, like an old record of her grandmother singing a song that she sent over to her husband, who was deployed in Europe. And she like re-recorded it on her MacBook, because obviously if you have a MacBook, you are very good at recording and music or photography or whatever. Right.
Just inherently.
Yeah, inherently. That's what you get it for, is to make you good at those things. Mm-hmm. And then it made her grandmother like super sad. Oh, I miss him. He's dead. All that shit. And then the one in China, it was this girl who similarly like finds a picture of her grandfather.
It's the same guy.
No, that would be hilarious. But the best part was when the commercial started, she was at her grandmother's house, like cleaning the fucking house. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because that's a thing in China, is like, you know, you respect your elders and shit, and you go there and you clean your grandmother's house for her. And she just
what a
sits
bunch
there
of chumps. Fuck the old people. Woo! I thought you were going to jump.
Yeah. So she just...
Speaking of, just to kind of really quick, even our American friends over there, every time I tried starting a USA chant, no one joined.
Oh.
No one joined, and I was pissed.
When I was in Paris, I went to like the premier party hostel in Paris, St. Christopher's Inn, which is right by the Gare du Nord train station. And I was playing beer pong, and it was me. It was okay. So it wasn't like a traditional American beer pong where it was like 6-on-6 cups. It was like 20-on-20. Like, it was a massive thing with a table that was like 15 feet long. Bill, you probably had one of these in the frat house, mm-hmm. right? So it was 4-on-4. So it was me and 3 American girls versus 2 Saudi kids, and I don't know who the nationalities, but like the Saudi kids were actually really cool. Anyway, me and the Americans won, obviously, because it's fucking beer pong.
All our practice.
Yeah,
you know?
right? Like these
we
people
drink like total cunts.
Well, yes, apparently we drink like cunts, but apparently beer pong is not really like, everybody outside of the United States is obsessed with the fact that people in the United States play beer pong, and they just they want to party. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that is exactly why.
Cunt.
Yeah. So I started a USA chant after we won.
Amazing.
And
it worked.
What the fuck? fuck?
So my favorite thing, one of my favorite
Even the
things,
Saudi kids jumped in. They're like, yeah, give us that fucking oil money, assholes.
one of my favorite things to do around and like over there and around people who aren't from America. Like we play rugby with French people, a lot of French and a couple Irish people over the summer, but like do the USA chant, but with their country. And because they like sort of hate it, but they can't hate it all the way. So, Ireland, Ireland, and they're like these fucking loud ass Americans, but they are cheering for us with their stupid chant. So I love watching the inner turmoil.
I like that it's perpetuating in this like a myth that that's the only chant we know.
Yeah, but it's the best chant.
It is the most important one.
But the commercials in Ireland were way different.
Yes.
There was one I was like, this used to be an English commercial, but they're like, the Irish down here don't seem to like them so much, so we're gonna put an Irish guy over it. They
Well,
like dubbed over it, and the mouth wasn't quite in sync.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the commercials reminded me a lot of like commercials that you see in rural Pennsylvania, where everything's like slower and calmer. And it was nice because nothing was jarring. And then Tipping Point came back on. So there you go. What do you think? What do you think of this, Frank? What do you think of Spotify? Is it going to become the most valuable company in all of history? Is it going to be the new Amazon?
No.
All right. Well, good luck. If you were taking my advice on investing, put all of your assets, mortgage your house, put it into Spotify. Can't fail. Really good idea. But I'm not an advisor, and if you do that, you can't. This is satire.
Multi-domestic was the name. It's globalization versus multi-domestic.
Okay. Listen, don't ever follow my advice.
Major problem, I just learned this actually, major problem with India is that a requirement for making products or services in India requires 30% of the product that you make, or I also believe 30% of the service that you are producing to have local content. In other words, if you're making a product, 30% of the components for that product need to be made in India.
Doesn't Canada do something like that?
Almost all countries have a local content requirement. And what the main reason for this is to prevent somebody like, okay, so say you're Portugal, right? And you are a member of the EU, right? You have free trade with all other members of the EU. So let's say you really want, for whatever reason, to become a hub for some sort of specific product, and some other company wants to make that product there for whatever particular reason, and they say, we're going to open a factory there, except we're not going to get any of the parts from Portugal. We're not going to make anything in Portugal. We're just going to take all of the parts we get from other places, assemble them in Portugal, and then ship them all over to the rest of the European Union so that we don't have to pay European Union taxes.
Wait a minute. That sounds familiar.
Like what? I thought you were making a statement.
That sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it used to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, there's local content requirements in NAFTA, especially for automobiles, right? So that Toyota, say, can't open a factory in Mexico, build cars with parts sourced from wherever the hell they feel like sourcing them from, assemble it make the final assembly.
That's why it sounded
Mexico.
familiar, because I was reading up on NAFTA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then ship it to the United States without paying any import taxes on it. So they're pretty common, but 30% is pretty high from what I've read for India. The only advantage, and then same thing for services, I generally think they have a thing where it's like they have to have a certain percentage of the workforce, like for the revenue that they generate in that country. Like there's some formula I think that they apply, if I remember right, in order to, so if Spotify wants to have have services there, they have to employ people in India essentially, which I guess kind of makes sense. But it's, in the era of globalization, like the idea is I open a company here and I can offer services worldwide at scale and then make a ton of money.
All right. So next story before we hit the break, Google is coming out with a thin client game streaming service. Thin client meaning that the server does all the calculations, the person interacting with it, their end does almost none.
Calculations for what exactly? Like,
you don't have a device you don't have an Xbox like thing, you don't have a computer, you don't have any of that.
Okay.
You have a controller that interacts over Wi-Fi with Google servers, and they do all the game calculations, rendering, all that stuff. They do it on their servers, and they send it to you.
Wait, so you just need a screen and the controller?
Yes, and the thing is, they're saying that you can easily transfer between any Google device, a Chromecast, to your phone, to a computer or whatever, as long as you have the controller, because the controller is what's actually tied to the session, if I'm understanding correctly.
That is so cool.
They're claiming that they can stream 4K gaming at 60 FPS as long as you have a 30 megabit per second connection.
That's pretty solid.
And the first game that they tried this with was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And they, what did they do? So you can have people stream a game, and like you can watch somebody play, and then at the bottom, instead of just selling it, it'll say, click here to play it, and then you just play the game. Streaming from Google. It's amazing.
Wait,
they're already
really
building
cool.
in, they're already building in streaming capability. They're already building in, like being able to make clips easily. And somebody sent an article about this at work, and I was like,
what do you think the Weissman score on their compression algorithm is?
I don't know what
Like,
any of
it's
those
got to
words-
be close to the, like, they have to be pretty close to the limit.
I don't know. Somebody was like, I honestly don't know. I don't know what the Weissman score is. You got me beat here. I'm sorry.
That's the ratio of, like, so it tells you essentially how efficient your compression is.
Compression
Compression is you take a certain amount of data, and then you basically apply a code to it, and it becomes much smaller in transmission size, and you can send that information, and using that code or method, you can decipher it into the larger file on the other end.
So basically, you could take, like, streaming data, right? So like a video game, right? Think at that point, like, because all of the rendering, all of the actual calculations of the game that would normally be done locally are done on Google servers, all you're streaming is the video picture, right?
Yeah.
So it's no different than streaming a YouTube video.
Right.
So you're able to take a video stream essentially, and let's say it's normally a gigabyte, and you can compress it down to maybe 500 megabytes, so by half. And now you only have to send 500 megabytes worth of data over your connection, which is much easier to do than a gigabyte.
And there's a lot of things that videos will do. They only send information to update sections of the screen that actually change. So we have March Madness on here right now. It'll be like
Actual March Madness, not
so
any
it's
kind of
like
game like that or something.
let's say the camera wasn't panning over the court right now. On the right there at mid court, that isn't changing frame to frame, so it wouldn't send the information to update that. It would just update the stuff that is moved, and you get some like artifacting and degradation through that because it approximates a lot of things. But anyway, this is pretty interesting to me because it is taking on a big responsibility to have all that computing power. Gaming is a huge market now. A lot of people are doing it, and they're centralizing the computational power. And it's interesting. Somebody sent it at work, and I said, Google's going to fuck this up. Because I was being a little cheeky. Google's going to fuck this up. They're going to bundle all your behavior information with all your personally identifiable information, and then they're going to have it get breached, just like they did with Google Plus. Now, if you recall, Google Plus was supposed to close down at some point, and then they got breached twice, so they closed it early. They're like, all right, it's done. It was a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Google's so big now that I think their reputation for excellence is sort of falling apart on the fringes. Let's say it's all alleged. I don't know. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of Google getting a hold on offering this service? It sounds pretty fucking cool. I'll believe it when I see it, but
I think that's awesome. I mean, just when you think that, video game streaming and whatnot couldn't get any better, this sounds like it's getting a lot better.
yeah, I mean,
I've never think about that, like not having to have an actual system or a console or something. You just have your remote. It syncs up. You just need a screen to be able to see what you're doing, and boom, bam, play. Go.
it levels out the field so much for people who want to develop games on all, like the next big market for video games, even the biggest market right now, I think, is mobile.
It is
but you're
the biggest
limited
market,
by how different devices are and their capabilities are. In this case, you don't have to do it. Everybody's watching a fucking video anyway, right? It's such a great idea. And the nice thing about this is it opens it up even more for indie developers because you just use probably some sort of Android development kit, and then you know it'll run on everything.
Yeah, I've been wondering how long it would take a company to do this. And I thought it would be Amazon, to be honest, because of their massive data centers that they have already.
Interestingly, I think even Google uses Amazon Web Services.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like Amazon Web Services is so enormous.
So my thought is, if I'm a AAA developer and I'm like, Google's going to do all the computing on this, I'm going to make a game 100 times the size of Skyrim. Fuck it. I don't have to worry about who's got something that can handle it. Google's going to take care of it.
Dude, imagine how
Ready
much
Player One.
simpler patching's going to be, continuous development, all this sort of distribution, and like, because all you got to do is push it to Google server. Now, what they did say is they're going to do what they do with YouTube videos. Often accessed videos are physically, well, as much as you can physically store data, which I suppose you do because it's on a device in the form of bits and electrons and shit. Anyway, it's at a server that's physically closer to the consumers, right? So high access videos are physically closer through the network. They're going to do the same thing with games. They're going to locate them closer to the people who play them so that you decrease the ping. Now, the technological hurdle here is ping, and if you're not familiar with ping, it's the latency between when you send a signal to a game server and you get a signal back, and it's measured in milliseconds. So, anywhere from like 0 to 50 is pretty reasonable. When you start getting up around 100, you start to notice it. That's a tenth of a second. When you start getting up around 300, it's like unplayable. They have to contend with that.
Even 50 is not on. It's annoying.
Yeah. So I wonder if they're going to start rolling out more Google Fiber to support this avenue. Like, are they still saying that they're only doing Google Fiber to shame internet companies? They don't actually want to provide the internet, or have they stopped that narrative?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, anybody else excited, Chris? You getting stoked?
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's pretty much the end of game ownership, though. I mean, you barely own it with Steam anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time I bought a physical copy of a game.
Yeah.
The one thing it sounds like it won't be able to support, and maybe I'm wrong, will be modding.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have to physically drop files into a folder on your computer, and then when you run it on your computer, the game sees it and processes everything that's in the way, and then the mod works.
Oh, yeah.
Or usually,
maybe you can put it in like your Google Drive or something.
And there's
maybe. I mean, I don't think that ownership's gonna ever go away.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, like, some people see these types of things and they think, oh my God, this is the end of everything I love. But like, we never see a full transition to any of these things, right? So think of even
Cash
Netflix.
is never going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Think of Netflix.
The postal service is never going to go anywhere.
When Netflix started, everybody said this is the end of DVD. Like, you can go to Walmart or Best Buy or whatever, and you can still see an entire fucking rack of DVDs, and people will buy them. I thought about buying a Blu-ray DVD recently anyway, because it's very convenient to own it. You don't have to rely on your internet connection.
Yeah, I really do think that the picture is better too.
Yeah, it is.
Here's a thing to think about. Look at how YouTube's DRM, digital rights management, and copyright infringement is abused. I wonder how we're going to see that influence the video game sphere. And I wonder if we're going to get busybody corporations telling us we can't play our sexy, sexy games like Femdom Waifu, which Genevieve played today. And we're going to give you a review on the flip side. Catch you on the flip side. All right, we're back, and we don't usually do this, but I want to do 5 more minutes on a topic that we left behind. The whole Google streaming thing. And Frank, you had some interesting observations. Now, we've talked before about how Microsoft has been trying to position Xbox as a general media center, but I didn't see the future that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Please enlighten us.
So Microsoft has in the past talked about utilizing cloud computing capabilities in its Xbox service, we'll call it. And essentially what they're talking about is doing very, very similar to what Google has announced with their streaming service, where you compute everything in the cloud, just zip the video file essentially back to your local TV, and boom, there you go. You're playing a game, and you don't have to have the local computing capabilities that you would need in order to play that game. The major difference, however, is that I believe the way that Microsoft envisioned this is they would still sell you a console with local computing capabilities. So essentially, they only have to rely on their cloud computing capabilities for what is essentially the excess computing capabilities of any games that get produced. So it would theoretically give your console a much, much longer lifespan than a normal console that they would develop. So it also reduces the computing capabilities that they would need drastically. Because let's say they give you, I don't know, we don't even have to assign numbers to it, but let's just say they give you 80% of the computing, enough computing power to do 80% of the tasks that you would normally need to do while streaming or while playing video games or streaming, like playing media or something like that. Then they're only relying on their cloud capabilities to give you the excess above that. So, imagine playing a game that's not very computer intensive on your computing power. So I don't know what that might be.
Castles 2 Siege and Conquest.
Great example. Or a retro game that came out 15 years ago,
Pac-Man.
right?
This came out 35 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So you want to play that? Great. You've got a console or a computing device that is more than capable of handling that by itself without ever touching Microsoft servers. Now let's fast forward 3 years from now and you're playing Elder Scrolls 6, right? Probably going to be a massive fucking hog on whatever resources that you have, whether it's a PC or the current Xbox One X or the next generation Xbox. We don't know, but it'll be a massive hog on resources.
I think a more realistic example is you're playing like Wii Sports with Wii Fit, right?
Yeah, great
the
example.
With the lady there and you're having a good time, you're getting fit, versus you need the back-end resources for when you're playing VR, Wii Fit, Rule 34, Futanari porno experience with the Wii Fit lady. And that's going to take a lot of rendering.
You don't need the lady.
It's my favorite game.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me how awesome this is going to be for VR developers, because like that is the hurdle for a lot of people. A VR setup, you need a good video card, which are still fucking expensive, and you need to buy the headset, and it takes a lot of horsepower. Now, like the market is totally attainable if you just buy the glasses and you hit Microsoft's machines for it or Google.
Bill, the first part of that was for the men, but the horsepower is for the ladies.
Mm-hmm. I think
Precisely.
so. I think that's right. If I do the math over here,
Like Catherine the Great.
but I'm going to see. It's really going to.
She represents all women.
It's really going to expand that market. Do you guys have any other things that you can think of that might benefit?
But not horsecock.
Lisa,
I mean, could that get any better? Like,
That threw me.
Speaking from experience, are we?
Oh, God.
that's not why I threw it to you. I threw it to you to include you.
I mean, like VR is the biggest thing I can think of that would need that massive computational. God, I said massive in this.
I'm gonna excuse myself from the podcast
It's-
forever now.
Everything is an innuendo now. Just accept it and power through.
Yeah.
That is my goal in life.
Power through.
Yeah, I mean, like, it'd be cool, like, world-building games, simulator games. Like, you can really go crazy with it, and you have a lot more Okay, keep thinking about it.
Stop.
Frank,
Sorry.
she can't stop thinking about it. Massive horse cocks.
All right, on the subject of super sexy times, we're going to move on to Genevieve's review here. Thank you, Frank. That really was an
You can
interesting
call me
perspective.
Footlong Frank if you like.
I would
That's
not
not
like
necessary.
that.
Is it $5?
Genevieve downloaded 2 games today that I could see.
I did.
While I was playing, I played a competitive
Canadian.
round. Actually, Chris and I played together a competitive round of Blackwake. There are Blackwake tournaments now, and there's such a small base that I am one of the better players and I can play. Chris just started playing, and he's on the team too. So does that invalidate all of my accomplishment and hard work?
Yep.
Yep.
So
I've come to invalidate
while I
you,
was
Bill.
doing that, Genevieve downloaded one game. I think it was just naked women
Oh, no. Okay,
with
so
giant boobs.
that's-
And I'm not used to games having full pussy definition from the download, but they did. They had
it wasn't downloaded. It's not out yet. It was just like
Oh, it was just a demo video?
Yeah.
You
But
got
said it was
early
free to play.
access?
early. Yeah,
You said it was
I
free to
guess.
play.
I was in the free to play section, and that's why it popped up. But when I clicked on it, you couldn't play it yet. It was just like follow and add to wish list.
It was like the widest hipped, smallest waist, biggest jugs, thinnest spaghetti armed computer
it was-
women
It's
just
unsettling.
jiggling around.
yeah.
I didn't hate it.
But I think my favorite part, because I watched the ad or the video, whatever you want to call it, a few times, is that like they make full eye contact with the screen and don't blink, but their boobs are like flying everywhere, like they have no weight to them. So you can just like stare at this like any of the girls, and just like it is bizarre and ridiculous, but it's called like Sexy Girls.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is this a
And that's it.
game
Well, I don't know.
or like a video that you
Basically,
download?
basically, it's just a giant strip club that you can pick and choose who you want to dance for you, or if you want to be in like
so
a
like
free for
you're
all.
the one just going in.
You're just
not
enjoying.
like
you're not a sexy girl.
you're not like
just
the
enjoying
manager of
them.
a strip club and like have to like
No,
get
that
different
would
talent and
no.
like.
This is just.
See, that would be interesting.
This is, you can also pause them in whatever they're doing, which is really weird, and like look at them from different angles.
That's not
Now,
weird.
is
It's
it
so
in
you
any
can
way
bait.
censored, or they just go full on for everything, like everything?
Everything.
Everything.
Dude,
They're
Oh.
always
telling
naked.
you,
That's actually part of the
I
line.
said
like,
full pussy definition. It was like
and then in the description
right
they
there
misspelled
immediately. There it is. Welcome to.
Did the game come with like a virus that
I don't
downloaded
know.
with it? Like,
we will
did
have
you
to
check
wait and
that?
see. It's coming out summer 2019.
AIDS.exe.
I have been surprised by how much like porn there is that seems to be developed in the same engine that a video game character exists in.
Yeah, it's weird.
They're really
Weird.
they're really getting the porn games going strong. That
I have
reminds
yet to see any of this, and I'm really like this might be my next.
So this was a game that you did not play, but I get the distinct impression that there was a game you did play.
Well,
I did,
before we
and it's
move
on
on,
the
I
same
wanted to
vein.
give an honorable mention to another game like this sexy
Girls. That's what it's called.
It's like big boob, big tit, crazy cartoon big girl, and you go through a dungeon with horrible monsters, and she gets covered in blood, and it's sexy or whatever. So like they cover her nipples a little
I
bit,
think I know
whatever.
what you're talking about.
But it's big jiggle fest, and it's supposed to be hot.
she-
But they don't leave the women out. You can play as this werewolf,
With a horse cock.
and if you look at him
That would be my
in the
choice.
shadow, he's got a 4-foot dick hanging down. You can see it just gently swaying as he runs along.
What the fuck?
You don't really. It's just a hint. It's just like a shadowy figure, but you're like, that is a huge ding dong. So equal opportunity in that game, I guess.
Well,
Yep.
you know,
That
that's what it's all about
nuanced,
these days. You don't want to leave anybody
Unrealistic
out.
dong is really what women want.
The game that you did play though
Aha.
was
Femdom Waifu.
Waifu, yep.
Waifu.
which less of a game and more of
Masturbation simulator? Or not simulator.
instruction.
like guided. Yeah.
There was a
Sweet.
thing like how
it was like Guitar Hero, but masturbation.
right.
almost.
You know how in Guitar
Oh,
Hero you
no.
have to time it with like pushing the buttons.
So it's a rhythm game.
Yes.
Well, this one it
Yeah.
took no input from the player, and
Like,
I
you could
eventually deduced that that's how you're supposed to move your hand on your penis.
Yes. If can I talk about the game?
Ooh.
Because that's all you got. You get the when you open it up, the menu asks if you want glasses or no glasses. So there's options. And then it offers nudity or censored, but I've yet to see the nudity in this one. The only screen is your waifu sitting in a chair in a hotel room, I guess. And the chair and her are like perspectively super fucking different than the rest of the room. Like her chair is basically levitating. And she just talks to you and says things and has horrible English. And pretty much what Bill was saying, like it is kind of like Guitar Hero in that, Jake's pulled it up now.
Oh no.
Like you see, so
The
there's
schoolgirl uniform is back. Oh
Yes.
my god.
I don't
Schoolgirl.
want to derail you here, Genevieve. I want
Yes.
to point out that the main version is free to play and the censored mode is $10.
There we go. That's why.
You have to pay for the censored mode.
What?
Wow.
But
Yeah. You need to make
still-
that abundantly clear.
I mean, I didn't want to throw too much time into this game because
Reviews are mostly positive.
it's this in
I'm
the game.
unsurprised on that.
I mean, if you
132.
bought this game, I feel like you're already gonna like it.
Go to the discussions though, because that's great. My favorite thread is, if download DLC, does that mean I can respect women? Or something like that.
Like
It's-
if I bought the censored version, does that mean
I
I'm
respect
more
women.
gentleman?
Yeah.
Tips Fedora.
What I really appreciated is that while I was playing Blackwake, I got a little
Oh my God.
update that Genocide
That's
was
one
playing
comment.
Femdom Waifu.
The second one.
What, replace my girlfriend with this game? Thanks, Bill, for 11 out of 10.
I came in 4 minutes. She hates me now, just like real life. 10 out of 10 simulation.
Yes, apparently you have to wait like 20 or so minutes. Otherwise, the game just stops. Like she's like, so pathetic. Like, come back later, bitch boy. And like,
Damn.
it just
Wow.
shuts off.
Look, someone.
Paragraphs. Okay.
No, hold on. Let's
I believe it needs more content
Yes.
because just jerking me off in fake is not real. Wait, that's not what it says, but that's essentially what it's going to say.
It's
without
like those
reading it.
ads that you see where it's like, try and play this game and like try not to come in 10
Yeah.
minutes. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I bet you can't.
But
do that.
it's literally like, it's giving you a rhythm.
It was
To
worth
stroke
having
at.
my
No,
heart.
and
does
that
it
is
have,
it.
like, does it show like a hand and it's like
No.
There was only
like, what
one
do you mean? Like she
unique
gives you a rhythm, like what?
event.
It's almost like Guitar Hero. Like there's a circle in the middle of the bottom of the screen. And then as you can see in this picture, those other circles from the right come in and just like
Oh, so it
disappear.
tells you, like-
yeah. So like, and it has like a sound to it too. And then like, I guess the timer around that is just her changing dialogue.
How is this real?
It's amazing. And I have a few of the,
How do you not
Dialogues?
buy this ironically? How? Oh no.
stop, enjoy it while you can, because the only thing you're going to feel when you start stroking again is ache.
Oh.
Oh,
That's not the only thing I want to feel
Oh.
after I'm done stroking.
Okay, no.
I'm
So
hoping some other feelings are there.
No. I found this interesting is that it doesn't really differentiate between if you are male or female, because the first game I played of it, I just went to straight to coming first just to see what that was like. So it only talked to me and referenced clit as like things to do. So talking about your clit, I think we should go back and give it some attention. Why don't you start stroking again?
No.
But then in like the longer game I played,
Ignore it.
because I, did some research and found you have to play for like 20 minutes, which is really just leave it up on your screen for 20 minutes. It changed back and forth. Like it didn't care. Like it would talk to me about my dick, and then I don't know. It.
Yes. Well.
How's your dick doing?
I was very confused. Yeah.
You got a dick there. Is it doing okay?
Yeah.
So it's like weird interactive cartoon porn.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then as you can see in the images,
Oh, it's like a
there's
sing-along movie, but
but no.
okay.
There's only two options for you to click. It's either edge, which just means continue, or I game, which
So, so
has
is it
to-
like data mining that too? Like how long did it take all these people?
That is the future.
I don't know.
Is this why they want to market globally?
All right.
Is this what we're
There are
Present-
achievements. I have 3 out of 7 achievements.
Present your FAP journal.
achievements?
Yes, so you get one just for opening the game, which is like the achievements call something like bringing home a new pet.
Oh my god.
And then there's like
Look, when the world comes out with legit fuckbots, we're gonna be doing the species a massive favor for removing a large portion of these people from the gene pool completely.
But you know what? It was great because there was a lot of other people in the discussion section that they were like, how do you play this if you're a girl? Or can you please come out with a version for girls?
I guess they mean like
There's a market, I guess.
I mean, they do have those
there are non-femdoms, right?
Yes.
Doms.
Just doms.
Yeah.
Dongs
Dongs too.
There are
Yep.
dongs.
There are dongs.
Doms with dongs.
All right, so next game review on the docket.
R/
Oh, give it a rating. Give us a rating there, G.
Doms with dongs. Oh man.
How do you feel about Hung Dong Jerk Off Machine?
A game where the perfect anime waifu will train, dominate, deny, and humiliate you.
You know what? It
Doesn't sound great, slave.
Yeah, she does call you slave quite a bit. It's very confusing. It's like I felt like I was watching it and I was like, I should be doing this,
It's not that
but
confusing.
what? Wait, what? No. Like
It's like watching a 3D movie without the 3D glasses.
It makes
You're
perfect
like,
sense.
I guess
Yeah.
I'm like doing this, but it's not.
But I didn't like, okay, so I was just waiting for the time to count up on it at one point, and I clicked away from it, and it stopped. So I had to go back and, like, I had to always have it active
Oh no.
while, like, reading other stuff and, like, figuring out what else to do. So I don't know what the other 4 achievements are. I'm excited to find out. I don't
Last
know.
What's your
for
rating?
4
What's your
days.
rating?
I'm excited. Where the fuck is the nudity? Like,
What is the rating?
1 boob out of 2.
Very good.
There we go.
Frank, you wanted to hit on Stellaris.
I
You
bought
picked
it.
We talked about getting it, and you got it.
I bought it. I spent $70 on it.
No shit, you got everything.
Not everything. There is more.
Oh my god.
There is more DLC that I can get. But I chose the whatever package gives me the base game plus 3 of the expansion packs that are available for it. There's a lot of content.
Was anything on sale?
Yes.
Okay.
It was on a bundle for, I think, 20% off.
Woo.
So I was pretty happy about that. It might have been 30% off, actually, because I got it for 70. I think it might have been 100 if I didn't get the sale. I cannot remember, to be honest. As you said, Bill, I'm an adult with a good job, so if I want it, I'm going to buy it. I didn't really pay attention to the price. I was just like, I'm going to try this. So I got to say, the game plays so smoothly. It is a massive learning curve, though. So you need to do, I would say, a good amount of research before you play the game. And I did. Lisa can attest to this, right? I watched basically 3 hours of a tutorial on YouTube.
God damn, you were dedicated.
Yeah. Before I was like, okay, yeah, this is, I know enough about this game. But it was good because not only did I learn how to actually play the game, but I learned enough about it that I knew I would like it. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's like, yeah, I did invest a lot for it, but it was only after seeing stuff that made me know that I would like it. It's very, and I guess this is pretty much par for the course. It reminds me a lot of Off-World Trading Company in that a lot of what you are doing is just pure managing resources.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty interesting, like, the way that they have it set up. It's like there's a lot. Now, I've only played 1 game of it so far, and I'm not even finished with that 1 game. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through it. But it's looked like there's a lot of different unique events and storylines that you can find based on how you explore throughout your portion of whatever galaxy you choose to be in. And like that galaxy is self-created, so you can choose how many different spacefaring civilizations there are, how many advanced civilizations there are, how many what they call, like, I think precursor or forgotten civilizations or lost civilizations there are, which is essentially like civilizations that used to rule the galaxy but for whatever reason have disappeared and you find artifacts of. And
bots. That's why they disappeared.
exactly,
Femdom Waifu destroyed them.
it probably
I believe in her.
and you got to find that out and then find the fuckbot
Her
waifus.
femdom I tried to waifu.
Yes.
Now that's a
Oh
game
my
I would
god.
play.
Except there's like even less clicking in this.
Yeah. Anyway, so the main point, they call this a 4X game, right? And for those who do not know what the 4X's are, it's like expand or explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate, right? So that's basically like the 4 things that you can do in the game. Explore the area in which your game is set, expand your territory throughout what you've explored, exploit the different mechanics of the game, the different resources, the other civilizations, and then if you want, exterminate anybody else that is there.
Exterminate.
Which is Lisa's favorite part of any of these.
Yep.
Especially when you get giant death robots.
I did. I just played some Civ. Off note, I played some Civ last night. I finally got giant death robots for the first time, and I bought about 6 of them with my $46,000 I happened to get, and I just destroyed everybody. Just killed them all.
Mm-hmm.
They all died.
So there are a bunch of different resources. It's kind of it is very similar to Civ when you boil down the mechanics of Stellaris, where it's like, so you start out, you are a civilization that has just recently discovered faster than life travel. You've not met any aliens. You don't know if there is alien life or anything like that. You just know that you can go fast. Exactly.
Gotta go fast.
You gotta go fast.
It's a world of Sainix.
You've got a couple of different types of ships. You have military ships, you have science ships, you have construction ships, you have colony ships, and they do exactly what you would think. So you use science ships to explore nearby star systems, and basically that's like the main point. The main part, early part of the game is just building some science ships, getting out there, and exploring the territories around you. One of the coolest aspects that I found of the game was when you start out, right, you can build your own civilization. So unlike Civilization, this is something I would love for them to include. There are different traits that you can basically build into your civilization, and you can customize how you want to play your civilization, right? So you have all of these different traits and all of these different traditions and all of these different things that you can basically say, like, this is what my civilization is going to be. And I chose traits that made them essentially like focus on, they liked science and they were really good at science, and they were very egalitarian, right? So it
means they're eagles, right?
Yes.
Egalitarian?
Yes. So
they like the eagles.
They love the Eagles.
Philly Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So for those of you that don't mean, it means that they think that people are all equal and they should be treated the same. So
all eagles.
It's a novel concept.
yes. So I guess the name that they come up, and one of the cool things that I love is they change the type of government that you have, like the name for your government, based on the traits that you choose for your civilization. So because I chose people that were really into science and were very egalitarian, it was called a science directorate. Right?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, right? Whereas you could choose something like that is very hierarchical and militaristic, and you would get something that's called like, an imperial directorate or something like, whatever. I don't know what it's called, but like you can like as
an imperial concern.
Yeah, exactly. As you screw around with the different options that are available for you, you get different types of civilization, and it affects how your civilization plays and what's important to you in terms of like the resources that you're going to need to direct your civilization throughout this space or throughout your part of the galaxy. It'll also affect how other civilizations that you encounter, what their opinion is of you and how you interact with them, right? So if you are, one of the things that you can choose is whether you're a xenophile or xenophobe. So that means basically, do you like aliens or do you hate aliens? And if you are a fierce xenophile, I don't remember. I think they call it no, I don't remember.
Then you're Captain Kirk.
Yeah. If you are a strict xenophile and you really like other species, like you really want to get out there and meet other civilizations, like you will have a predisposition to be liked and to like other species that you meet. Whereas if you meet another civilization that is a xenophobe, they will, by like on a base level, hate you or at least strongly dislike you.
Which where'd you go?
Other thing. So I don't think I picked one. I think it was like 50, like whatever. Don't really care.
Okay.
Just because I used all of my points because you're allotted a certain number of points to pick both positive and negative things, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And well, I shouldn't even say you're allotted. This is really interesting. You're allotted points to pick different traits, and there are like positive things, basically things that are positive or that provide benefits to you cost points to use, but there are different aspects that you can choose that are, I'll say negative for the most part, or at least not positive, that then give you points back, right? Mm-hmm. So I've never seen that before.
So like you could be egalitarian and scientific, but everybody's blind, and you get more points back.
Similar, pretty much, yeah. So one of the choices is adaptive or non-adaptive, and what that basically means is how different from your home planet can you be and like survive pretty well in. So like as you go around, like one of the goals is find new planets to colonize as you explore the solar system, or not the solar system, the part of the galaxy that you occupy. And you'll find different worlds. So they have a couple of different types of worlds. So they'll have like wet worlds, dry worlds, continental worlds, all that kind of stuff. So like if you are from, Bill's like, oh yeah, give me that wet world. I want that moist world.
When my aliens show up, that world gets wet. Barf. I'm sorry, everybody.
Did you just say barf?
Yeah, I'm sorry for that.
So I actually think the classifications are like tropical, arid, and
when I show up with my aliens, it gets arid.
Yeah. And then there's like further, but anyway, I think I chose a continental, tropical world, but like if you go out and you find another like a tropical world that is not continental, right? It's probably going to be 80% compatible with your species. So you can choose a trait that makes you adaptive, which gives you a plus 10% to whatever. Like if it's base 80% compatibility, you've got 90% compatibility. Or you could choose non-adaptive, which gives you an extra point of traits to choose, but it subtracts 10%.
What do they do? What trait lets you knock up glip glorp space babes all over the universe so that they can't get rid of you because you Romeo and Juliet your way on every planet?
I think there is something similar to that where it's like gene, like something like fierce genetics or something like that. Where basically like your dong adapts to whatever Dougal
adaptive dong.
Yeah, basically. And
tactical dong.
Yeah. And it's
spiral to the left. And
oh my god.
And it's like it doesn't matter if it's a dolphin or a fucking, and like, okay, also this matters 0% to the final effect of your species, but you can pick what you look like what type of
Excellent.
I'll say what type of animal you are, right? So there's humanoids, but there are also like avians, so you can look like a bird. There are mammalians, so you can look like different types of mammals.
So they're playing at the furry base.
Oh, but there's molluscoids and reptiles and lizards.
So they're playing at the furry base.
Lizard people.
Yes.
That's what I always said, that human girls don't have enough shell.
And fungoids. So you can look like a fucking weird ass alien if you want. Or you can look like a person.
Of course.
How very xenophobic of you to say.
How many
aliens
minutes
you
have
banged?
you played? How long have you played it?
I think I put about 12 hours into it.
And you're feeling it?
I'm loving it.
So
it's a great game.
You think you're about 75% done?
This
the
game is
game's-
McDonald's.
it's tough. Like maybe what I've heard, the games should last about 15 hours.
Oh, that's not.
Dang.
Is that as long, or I think that's a.
Wait, what
It's
happened?
It's about
compared
the
to
same
Civ.
long as a Civ game.
Okay.
How do you get a victory? Is it the
They
same as
they
Civ?
just have
Like,
no. So they have different victory conditions, and I honestly haven't researched all of the different victory conditions. One of them is similar to like a diplomatic victory, where like you get a certain number of the colonized planets to join your federation. There's another one that is the typical domination victory where you conquer a certain number. But there's also like beyond conquering, there's also like a vassal state type thing where you're basically like, okay, I'm not actually going to invade you, but like we both know that I could kick your ass if I wanted to. So let's just like give me some money so I don't, and like do what I say.
Can you blow up entire planets?
Yes.
Because that is how I want to win. Blow up every planet but mine.
So that's actually part of an expansion. I don't remember. I think it is. I can't remember which one it's called, but
Death Star expansion.
essentially that's essentially what it was. It's like it unlocks super weapons that are essentially capable of not just destroying entire planets but entire stars.
Wowzers.
And then I think it's part of the mega structures. I think that's what it
God.
was called, is the mega structures expansion, because it also allows you to build Dyson spheres and other such large things,
Now you know what
which is
it's
pretty sweet.
You know
Is
what
everybody
it's called?
familiar with that big
Dyson
vacuum? The
Yes.
Dyson sphere?
There is a channel in that vein called Isaac Arthur. He speaks with a speech impediment, but he is a Army veteran and a legitimate scientist, and has hours and hours and hours and hours of really well done little videos about things like Dyson spheres and like terraforming and super futuresque like sci-fi type things, but how they could be potentially feasible if certain conditions are met. Want to shout out that guy. Go ahead, continue, please.
Yeah. So that was one of the expansions that is available. I got that one because it's awesome. You guys are gonna love this. There's an expansion called Megacorp, right?
Okay.
And instead of what it allows you to do is, instead of playing as a like actual civilization of people, it allows you to play as a corporation or a essentially non-state actor.
This is exactly what
Yes.
Frank needs.
No, I actually have not done this yet, and what I'm going to do, because this is amazing, is it similar to like when you choose your different traits for a civilization, and you can be a science directorate or a, like, I don't know, hierarchical kingdom or whatever. It allows you to choose what type of corporation you are. So if you
Fuckbot.
no, even better. Even better.
Then a fuckbot?
Yes. If you choose that you have a religious base and whatnot, you become a mega church.
Jesus.
You
What?
can be a
Christmas.
mega church
Amazing.
and conquer the galaxy
Oh no.
to your
To
mega
be a-
church ways.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
And I really want to do that.
Are
It is
all the
the-
donations
oh.
to make spaceships?
Yes, you will plant your seed, and it will grow and prosper
Oh no.
into a wonderful
strong.
flower of God's gift.
Oh my god.
The seed is strong.
Yes.
That makes me want to die inside, and I also want to play it.
The Robert
yeah, do you
Baratheon.
not want it? Like, come on! Like
extension.
every single when I researched the Megacorp thing, like every single person is like, "Oh no, I'm going to be a mega church."
So you like it? It looks good? Runs good?
Even on my old computer, it runs great.
Your computer's a fucking dinosaur at this point, isn't it?
8 years, 2011 is when I bought it.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
Could be
Yeah.
worse, but it's old.
Yeah.
So give it a rating.
I will give it 8 alien mushrooms out of 10
Stand next.
Earths.
Okay.
Why did you mix units?
So
You know
do
better,
here.
Frank.
What we do here.
So speaking of aliens, I finally bought XCOM 2.
Gonna give it to you. What?
Now, why didn't I buy this? Because I wanted to play the whole series before I streamed it, and I played the original game, and it's super fucking hard. And I was like, I guess I'll put this off. Well, I waited and waited and waited, and it finally got really cheap, so I bought it on Steam sale. In fact, I think it might still be on sale, so when we go to that section, we can take a look.
But we have some goodies in this thing.
However, it is fucking dope. Now, I know I should have probably researched, but I always like to play a game and get a little bit of a feel for it before I start reading, because you got to know a little bit. You have to start to get an idea of what you don't know before you can go out and learn, right? And I made it through a couple of missions, and it's really hard. This game has a reputation for being hard, but I was doing well. I was like, this is a joke. It was a joke. Why is everybody else so terrible at this game?
30-second timeout, Bill. Have you played Dark Souls?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. I really want you to play Dark Souls so that you can compare how hard you think XCOM is to Dark Souls. Because that is like the classic game that is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Recently.
I'm interested.
I think it's similarly unforgiving. However, it is not. Excuse me. It is not like motor skill based. It's a turn based squad management game where you move your little dudes behind cover and you tell them to shoot and you have a percentage chance of hitting, and aliens have these crazy powers. Like I just encountered this one horrible snake alien that grabs my guy with a crazy long tongue and pulls him out, and then everybody fucks his shit up and he dies. Die all the time, always dying. But the basic story of the game is like an invasion already happened. Humans are on the run. You are brought out of a slumber. You're the commander, and I don't want to. Well, it's the opening. They pull a chip out of your head, and they're like, "Holy shit, we didn't think that could come out. Let's investigate stuff." So you have a big ship that the rebels fixed up, and you manage research and weapon development. And the part that I thought you might really like about it, Jake, is in the overworld. It's a lot like that Fallout game with the different chambers where you manage
Shelter.
Yeah, it's like Fallout Shelter in between missions, and then when you go into a mission you end up moving people around and fighting these monsters. Are you stretching or just raising your hand?
I'm just raising my hand.
Okay.
Wait, what?
And then wait, oh yes, I bought it. So anyway, I get to the 4th mission and I'm getting curb stomped. I can't do it right. So I've just started save scumming it. And now I don't know if it's really save scum, okay? If I beat the level, I take the consequences. Whoever dies, if I beat the level, they stay dead. I don't reload and try to do it better. However, if I get fucking mollywopped, I reload at the first turn and I try it again.
I do a little bit of save scumming in Kerbal Space, where like here's the thing. You build a new rocket, right? And you don't know what its launch profile is going to be like. Now, I could sit here and I could like go get my fucking like calculus and astronomy textbooks out and physics textbooks and like try and fucking calculate that shit like I was an actual mathematician. But I only have a bachelor's degree in math and I fucking forget 80% of that shit. So yeah, not going to happen. It's good enough that I can calculate delta V and orbital trajectories on my own, and I have to use Wolfram Alpha to do the majority of the heavy lifting for that for me. So that can go fuck itself. I save, and then I try and launch my rocket, and if I don't make it into orbit, I'm like, okay, I kind of know what I have to do to change to get that into orbit. And it might take me 4 or 5 tries when I build a new one, but I will get it eventually.
It was one of those things, I just don't want to go through an entire game and eventually lose, because there's a lot of cutscenes, there's a lot of story. I don't want to have to do all that effort again. I don't want it to be this war of mine again. Okay, if I want that experience, I'll play that fucking game. But it's awesome. I really dig it. Frank, I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, I probably would. I have been meaning to play both XCOM and XCOM 2 for a long time, but I want to get it on PC. And
XCOM 2 is like super old, and it's kind of really hard to wrap your head around. XCOM 2 is a completely different experience.
Yeah.
I think it came out in 2016, so you could probably handle it.
Maybe.
And it's $12.
If I can handle Civ 6, I could probably handle XCOM 2.
All right.
I would consider it.
Yeah, so I'll rate XCOM so far. I've only played like 4 or 5 hours. I will give it 1 horribly exploded human out of 2 serpent monsters that exploded my human. I don't know. It's pretty good.
Would you give it 2 apples out of 3 oranges? Because that's what you guys are doing today.
Well, we do it all the time. That's the whole point.
Yeah. That's not what you do all the time.
I do it all the time.
All the time.
You know what?
today.
Your mom does it all the time. So.
Our collective Mother Earth. Okay, right before we kick it to the Steam sale, I wanted to mention one thing I forgot about Ireland. Over there, it's not McDonald's, it's just Donald's. All right, everybody, we'll catch you on the flip side.
That's a fact.
sale.
Steam sale. Steam sale. Steam sale.
Big opener right off the bat, 33% off for $30.15. Not exactly a super cheap game. Call of Cthulhu. Now I watched two best friends play this game. It's fucking sweet. This is one
I've
of my
heard this game is incredible.
This is one of my favorite interpretations of the whole Cthulhu myth because it's not just a bunch of like boring brown like dirt tunnels and shitty shanty towns and like some squid. It's like wicked cool, really good story. They handle like terror really well. There's like a bunch of thriller aspect to it. There's a horrible monster that comes after you. We're watching it come out of the painting right now. The voice acting fucking lit, as I remember. Really
Squid
enjoyed
voice actor.
Squidward?
Is it the correct squid dialect that they use for said subspecies?
it. They do bust out into like Cthulhu speak every once in a while.
Oh, nice.
And they have this really nice layering of like you don't know what's real and what's your character descending into madness. Ooh. And like you get different results based on how like there's like 26 different psychologically based interactions you can have. And if you do like the Cthulhu thing, you go more crazy. But you get cooler Cthulhu information. But if you drink, like everybody's like, you smell like a fucking drunk, but you get some of your sanity back. I think that's how it works. It's a wild ride. I really dug it.
I'm not gonna lie, if there was something super fucked up going on, I'd probably just drink a lot because I'd just be like, okay, yeah, I definitely just made that shit up because I was fucking blackout drunk.
Yeah. What I will say about this is there's not a lot of like monster threat, right? You're not like stumbling through and there's just squids everywhere or whatever, octopodes fucking coming out to jam you with their suckers, but they still manage to keep it a thrilling experience. It's got its bugs, it's got its flaws, but I think overall this is a solid game for everybody who's going to give it a shot.
I do enjoy squid. So.
City Skylines, I just bought this, $7.49. That sounds like a great idea. In fact, I think a bunch of the expansions are on sale for super cheap. I've started to see a lot of activity on my Reddit feed from people posting their cities, and the design finally got interesting enough. It was like...
I've heard that this is like the spiritual successor to SimCity 4, which was... it's one of my all-time favorite games, SimCity 4. I still play it years later. It
looks like what I wanted Railroad... what game was that?
Empire? No.
Yeah, Railroad Empire to be. It doesn't look like you can just buy more trains. It looks like you can actually direct traffic and think about it, and it has consequences.
In fact, there are no trains in this game.
Now, there are, of course, some bugs that I've seen. Like the traffic does weird stuff, but usually the community can talk through why it's happening. But looks like you can spend a lot of time and use your brain real hard, and it looks fucking great. If your system can handle it, it looks awesome.
Yeah, that's my main thing is I don't know if my system can handle it.
So it's 4 years old. I mean, you could probably run it on low res or whatever. Can you scroll down a little bit, please, Jake? I think there's a... there you go. City Skylines Deluxe Edition. I bought that. Also 75% off.
And there's a collection
for $10. I looked at the collection for one moment, and it's $75. And while that might be a deal...
it's a lot.
I was already buying XCOM 2 and We Are the Police, and... I didn't want to spend.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. I mean, each of these DLCs is like $2 to $4, which is very reasonable. So there's a shitload of them, and of course,
I feel like
there's
some
a
of them
bundle
are
discount.
probably really cool to add, and some of them were just like, yeah, sure. Like the developers just came up with it, and like, okay, yeah, fine, throw it out there and put it up for $4. You know what I mean? Like, and I have no problem with that. Because there's always going to be a percentage of people that are huge fans of the game and will take any content they can get for it.
Free weekend, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna buy this. I'm probably gonna buy this, and I'm gonna buy. I'll say it now because it's not on Steam sale, and I'm just gonna put this out there so people know that I'm gonna talk about it in the next episode. I'm gonna buy Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, and I'll definitely be talking about that.
What the hell? Okay, so we're out of City Skylines. What the hell is Serious Sam franchise? This looks like he's got like a bomb on his shoulder.
A tattoo of a
Serious
bomb.
Sam is he's been
He's
around.
pretty serious.
Is he like Mad Max?
Kinda.
But serious.
More serious, yes.
And
Less
Sam,
mad.
not Max.
Serious Sam indie series. Double D XXL. This is really smacking up some what did I say?
It's like
Did I say Mad Max?
He's like a reject
Mad
from
Max and Serious Sam.
The alliteration.
Team Fortress. He's like a Team Fortress reject, but I guess more,
Duke Nukem.
More super
That's
I was going to say Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem.
That's what I was trying to think of.
Yep, very reminiscent of that. They're like shootery, cartoony.
So number 2 is on sale for $2. That is right up my alley. The first one's probably on sale, barely playable for $1 with all the DLC. And if I like that, I'll just wait until number 3 goes on sale again. Oh, HD edition, 81% off at $10. That's why they're having a sale on all this whole shit.
HD Gold Edition, which I originally read as Good Edition.
Fort's ton
Gold
of
is good,
guns.
so-
Gold is good, but just the idea of
Forts, tons of guns.
Oh,
So,
fucking
yes.
Steam has this
This
live
game looks awesome.
broadcast thing in there that drives me nuts sometimes. I was trying to have a chat
If
with
this
somebody
is
and it was
less
showing
than
me
$5, I'm buying this too.
it was showing me somebody playing their game and I didn't need that. All right. This looks like the old tank battle game. Remember you played in middle school where you'd try to shoot your little tank cannon?
Doesn't this look like a ton of fun?
It does. It actually does. It looks like
Looks like
Spook.
no, like
Looks like Angry Birds.
It does look like Angry
there's a
Angry
bit of
Birds
that.
is a
What the hell am I trying to think of? Worms Armageddon.
And that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
it's a bit of that.
Reveal us the price.
Dun dun dun.
$7.49.
Too much.
A little too
It
much.
looks like a lot of fun, but
Well,
it's got to be
soundtrack.
under
Enough for
$5
that.
for a game like this.
The art style is kind of cutesy, but this looks too much like a mobile game for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really does have that feeling.
It's got online multiplayer.
I don't trust it. It's gonna turn out to be buy more trains. All right, let's get out of here.
Just rail those into your enemy.
Next page.
How many trains
Steam
should
sale.
he buy?
Oh,
XCOM 2.
XCOM 2.
14.99, dog.
$14.
I'm telling you, Frank, get it. Now's the time. Strike. It is worth it.
Strike.
Strike now.
Black Desert Online. I have no idea. It looks like a
looks
JRPG.
cool.
We've talked about this a number of times.
Have we?
It keeps going on sale for less and less money.
$5 right now.
I feel like they're really trying to get a bigger player base. It looks like they tried really hard, but the mixed reviews and the constant sales has me a little worried that it's
I mean, it looks
super great.
cool from the small tidbit I just saw.
okay. So the other 3 games, are they all the same game?
No.
Watch Dogs 2, Ghost Recon Wildlands, and Far Cry New Dawn. They all look super similar in the art.
They are similar in virtually no ways except they contain firearms.
They're practically the same.
Far Cry New Dawn, you'll see, is already in my cart because it's 50% off at $20, and I just beat Far Cry 5,
Perfect.
to which this is a direct sequel.
Really? They already have a sequel to 5?
Yes.
Jesus.
Full price, $40.
Christ.
It's set in the same Montana overworld, but it's post-nuclear.
Yeah.
So it's essentially this game, the Far Cry series, Fallout New Vegas, or their take on like Fallout, basically.
I
Without
fucking
being Fallout.
love it when IPs are like, we're going to do your IP too, because
Yeah.
we liked it.
So I'm already going to purchase that. But we're going to come back to Far Cry here in a little bit. Ghost Recon Wildlands, I've heard good things about. I've heard it can be repetitive.
It's not very good.
No?
No,
Just
I don't
kidding.
like it.
Matt loves it, but
What
Watch
is it now?
Dogs 2, I heard, is 85% off, down from $60 at $9.
Wow.
I don't know if $60 is really still the full price, because didn't this come out
Came out a
years
while ago. 2016.
Like I feel like they're showing the full price as $60 just to like I don't know,
Yeah.
be deceptive or some shit. However, I did hear that
It's a pretty good game.
Watch Dogs 2 was much better than the first, by all accounts. So pretty solid spread for the special offers tab. However, there is a Ubisoft publisher sale happening right now. And there are publisher sales sort of frequently, but Ubisoft is a big one for a variety of reasons that we're about to see. Love them or hate them, they are kind of a big evil AAA gaming company these days. However,
The Division, the first one, did it ever get its act together?
no, but I've heard great things about the second one.
Okay.
I probably
Great
won't
things
play
about
it.
the
So
second one.
pass now. Wait until
I've heard that the second one is essentially an RPG with
Sick.
shitloads of detail in
Fuck
firearms and upgrades and stuff.
They probably learned from Assassin's Creed Odyssey and how popular it was, where everybody was like, "Oh my god, this game is amazing."
Funny you should mention Assassin's Creed, because guess who develops them?
Ubisoft.
Every
That's why
single
I
one of
said
these
it.
games.
They developed
Oh,
it
shit.
also.
Oh my god.
And they probably
Yep.
learned from Assassin's Creed Odyssey versus Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which, for those of you that do not know, Syndicate came out, I think, in 2017.
Something like that.
Yeah. To very mediocre reviews.
Yeah,
and
it was kind of
very
garbage.
flat sales. It was a dumpster fire.
Mhm.
And then Odyssey comes out last year, 2018, and everybody if you remember, I reviewed the game probably about 6 months ago, October. Incredible game.
I didn't realize I was going to spend $200 tonight on
Me
Assassin's
either.
Creed.
Yeah.
Should we split it?
Origins, which by the way has actually been at full price at $60 for some time now, even though it's over a year old. $18, 70% off. Not too shabby. However, I've heard
Good
much
game.
better things about Odyssey, which at 60% off at $24 is probably worth it.
So good.
I have seen it cheaper.
What is this Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, I'm surprised if it's
What?
It could be
If
a
it-
ball thing.
To the left,
the
72%
top
off.
left.
Well, that's the.
If
ooh,
it's
what
the
is that?
first, oh no, it's
Bundle.
bundle.
That's
Yeah.
I think
it's
the
a bundle.
original 2 and
Oh, baby.
4 Unity, Rogue, and Syndicate.
Oh.
yeah, there's really nothing
For
there that you need
$31
other than
bucks.
Black Flag.
I wish I could drop Syndicate. And I honestly, Rogue, which I did play a shitload
Unity
of.
was not good either, though.
Rogue was basically a reskin of Black Flag with a different protagonist, and
Yes.
also you're a Templar.
What about
Unity was not good. Unity, you play in like revolutionary France. It was not really one particular thing. It was a combination of different stories that supposedly tied together, but they did a terrible job of tying them
And it was all
together.
supposed to be a co-op emphasis, right?
Yes, and it was
Oh.
not. It didn't work.
It
was a bad game.
Right. Yeah. So this bundle is a little disappointing. However, Black Flag on its own, I would pay $30
Oh, yeah.
for, and it's $6.79.
If you have not played it, we have talked.
If you have
so much
never
about it.
played an Assassin's Creed game, you cannot go wrong with Black Flag. You can't.
Black Flag. Steam sale.
We've
So,
talked so many times about Black Flag on this podcast.
Great.
Go play it. It's great. It's an incredible game. You get to be a pirate. You're in the Caribbean. It's awesome.
yeah. But
Wait a
going
minute.
back up here, we got Rainbow Six Siege, which is on sale all the time. Crew 2.
What is this Anno 1800? It's not on sale.
No, it's not on sale for some reason. There are a few Anno games. One or two of them are in the future.
What
I know nothing about them though. We could click
looks
in,
like boats and cities.
but it's not on sale, so why bother? Brawlhalla, free to play,
I love the name.
side scroll platforming beat 'em up. Looks like.
Looks like another mobile game.
Can't argue with free to play though. Let's have a look. Mostly positive. Someone's live streaming. I don't care about it. Yeah.
Eh.
It looks like the base version is free to play. Period. I don't see a timer here. So hey.
It sort of looks like a Smash Bros.
It looks like a
Looks
Smash
More
clone.
cartoony.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a Smash clone with no characters that anyone's familiar with. But yeah, free to play. Whatever. Maybe you download it and dick
You
around
know
for a
what? I
minute.
might actually heard about this, and there's some game out there that was made by people who liked the old style of Smash Bros, and they went ahead and made a game. This might be it.
It could be.
I'm gonna have to play it and see if it's good.
South Park: The Fractured Butthole, $11.99, 80% off.
Worth it?
I haven't played The Fractured Butthole yet. However, I did play The Stick of Truth and thought it
It's
was
hilarious.
Amazing.
great.
How much is it again?
$12.
I'm up.
The bundle with The Stick of Truth for $16.18. Do it. If you like South
Yeah.
Park at all, just do it. It's fine.
I
Just
think
do
I'm gonna buy-
You
You
won't
better
regret
do
it.
that.
I'm about to spend $80 on video games, and
I already have
really-
50 in my cart before we started this session, just so you know.
So disclaimer to those, I talk about games that I would buy all the time on Steam sale, and I rarely buy any of them. However, this Steam sale, I'm probably going to buy a lot of games.
It's a good week, guys. The Far Cry series, also developed by Ubisoft, all of them are on sale. And there's
All
only
of them
two
in
that
your
I
cart.
there's only two of them I don't know. Well, there's 8 here. I have 6 in my library already, but I do not have Primal and I do not have New Dawn. DLC included together, it comes to about $36-ish, which is 100% worth it in my opinion.
Primal looks super fucking cool.
Yeah. Tom Clancy series. Oh, look, every single Splinter Cell game, all the Ghost Recons.
I didn't know I was going to buy all
the
Splinter
Rainbow
Cells.
Sixes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I have a Splinter Cell bundle, everything but the most recent game in my cart as well.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
Don't need this.
It's bad, dude. It's bad, okay?
I didn't think I was going to go broke this week. Like, I really wasn't planning for this.
So the Splinter Cell Elite Echelon Edition, which is the first 4 games, is
Shut up.
$13.59.
Wow.
I've only played the very first one, and I did like it, although it drove me bananas because he can't hit the side
Similar
of the
to
barn.
games you've played, Fable?
Apparently. It's not at all similar to Fable Steam, I'm sorry, but I might also pick up Splinter Cell Blacklist for $10.19 on top of it. I might do it. Why not?
yeah.
Like,
Complete the collection in one fell swoop? Fuck it.
Yep.
Fuck it. All these Rainbow Six games, Lockdown, Vegas 2, 3, Rainbow Six 3, and Rainbow Six Siege. Everything but Siege is under $4 if you liked those games or
Siege
whatever.
is only $11.
Siege goes on sale all the time. I think 11 is on the lower side of what we usually see, but we see it all the time on Steam sale, right? And then there's a shitload of arcade.
Uno for $8.
Rayman? Yes.
Yep, there's a Rayman Legends here. There's
I heard that's actually pretty good.
Rayman is fun from what I remember.
Valiant
Rocksmith.
Hearts, that looks kind of interesting.
Let's look at it. Why not? I know nothing about it.
Valiant Hearts, The Great War is a story of 4 crossed destinies and a broken love in a world torn apart. Dive into a 2D animated comic book adventure, mixing exploration, action, and puzzles. Lost in the middle of the trenches, play as each of the 4 strangers, relive the war, and help a young German. So, if you're looking for like
Praise the Kaiser.
brutal art style, World War I's gonna work for you because everything was fucked and dirty and muddy. Very positive. A lot of really good feedback on that one.
Yeah,
You can hate on the Nazis as much as you want, but they had some style and some cleanliness.
Oh, did you think we were done?
Wait.
Just
You were
kidding.
starting to talk about Rocksmith. I got to tell you, if you're looking to play Guitar Hero and actually play on a guitar, Rocksmith does that. You got to get a little attachment so you can jack your guitar into your USB port. But other than that, it tunes it up for you and get going. I've really enjoyed it. I really like it.
I never played Rocksmith. I played a lot of Guitar Hero in my day. But yeah, I mean, but anyway, as I was saying, you thought we were done? Prince of Persia.
Oh yeah.
Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones, both $3.39 each. Whole bunch of Might and Magic games. I don't know much about them.
Oh my god.
I've actually heard that they're okay.
Anno 2205 is on sale at $10. Let's have a look at that.
This looks like a ship. Looks like it focuses on
Humankind's
ships.
next step in the future promises to build better tomorrow. You conquer Earth, establishing rich, bustling cities and grand industrial complexes, and then you travel out into space. Mixed reviews. Show me some gameplay here. Why are you mixed?
Can't just
Because it's an
ask a
okay
game why it's
I
mixed.
actually heard that this was a pretty decent game, but not great.
Well, I mean, I don't know, $10 if it's your speed. There are already, however, some better offerings.
Prince of fucking Persia.
The Prince of Persia is like, here's a Stick of Truth at $6 by itself. Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands, $3.39.
That's where it all started. I mean, if you like,
Do you
If you
get
like
your own
Assassin's
Jake
Creed.
Gyllenhaal with that?
I thought about making that joke.
Oh well, you guys don't get to make jokes. You're not allowed.
Star
And then
Trek
there's,
Bridge Crew.
There's VR games down here.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah, so there are a lot of tremendous, very cheap offerings.
Yeah.
The original Watch Dogs 1, $3, 90% off. Like, it's the Ubisoft, for all its flaws, is a massive developer with a library of good games.
Yeah, they rarely make a stinker.
Yeah,
They make a lot of so-so games.
they make a lot of good games and then apply a bunch of corporate bullshit on top of it.
Yeah, that is true too.
Which is not the
Which
worst
makes
thing
them
in the
so-so
world.
games.
At least none of them that I recall, that I'm aware of, have been like a Fallout 76.
Eh.
Because, by the way, Fallout, by the way, Bethesda, fuck you. But
Whoa.
I don't know. Some of the Assassin's Creed games were like not quite that bad, but like
the problem with the Assassin's Creed games mainly, other than sometimes they got buggy, was that they were the same fucking game 48 times in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
They were milking a cow.
Dude, we were on a bus in Ireland, and they were talking about the Assassin's Creed series.
That's true.
And this guy was complaining that they got rid of like the counter functionality, which I've heard people lament breaks the game once you get it, and like this
First feed,
double hidden knife thing.
Hidden
And
blade.
he was bitching that it was gone. I was like, dude, you got like 9 games where that works. And they had to change it up somehow. I was like, I don't know, man, it sucks. I was like, oh.
The one dude who actually likes hitting counter every time for 9 straight games.
They all liked it. There was a group of them.
I mean, I found it, I mean, if you fuck it up, you do get punished for it. But I mean, the games they got stale, and they stayed stale for a long time. And I'm glad that Odyssey finally came along.
Yeah, no, they fixed it. It took them 10 years. Well, maybe not 10 years, but it took them several years. Yeah, and they eventually fixed it. So that's good for them. Anyway,
let's take a quick glance at anything else that might be interesting here on the various things that Steam's shoving in our face. Sekiro.
Dude, that is supposed to be like the even cooler version of Neo.
Sekiro is made by
Shadows die twice.
It just came out like a week ago or something. It's made by the Dark Souls guys. It's made from Software, and Neo I've talked about briefly. I'm still playing it. It's a Dark Souls clone set in feudal Japan. So Sekiro, except it's Dark Souls. So it's actually Dark Souls in feudal Japan. And I watched a little bit of gameplay of it earlier.
We did the same universe?
No.
Oh.
No.
That was a stupid question.
It's all good. But it's fast. It's Japanesey. It's shinobi and katana and shit like that. It looks real good, and everything I've heard about it is real good. And if I didn't have such a backlog of games, I definitely would have paid full price for the game and all the DLC like a little consumer bitch. But I'm holding off for now. Keep an eye out though for Sekiro if you like those games. Sounds like Sekiro is a wonderful, wonderful addition.
Lots of hype.
GTA 5, $30. Who cares? Vampire the Masquerade, $60. Raft, we've looked at before. Amusing, but not for $20. Borderlands 2, seriously, still $20.
Yeah,
okay, nothing too interesting here. We could go to like the browse all that are on sale, but I think we've covered quite a lot.
I think it's time that we call it.
Yeah.
Call it up.
Who's first?
I'll start.
Okay, you go.
I'll start. And
Okay,
we can
that's
go
fine.
whatever direction we choose. I'm going to say best bet City Skylines because it's less than $10. I'm going to buy both that. Well, actually, I'm going to buy not both. I'm going to buy City Skylines. I'm going to buy Call of Cthulhu unless Lisa buys it. I figured that would happen. And it's fine because I want both. And I think there was one more in there that I was interested in. Jay, can you scroll through it again?
XCOM 2, dog.
No, I'm not gonna get that.
You're not.
Oh, Neverwinter Nights. I'm sorry. I'm gonna buy all
Piece of
3.
Shit.
Don't forget both South Park games together for $16.
And probably that too.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah.
I will go next. I will say this. I already bought XCOM 2. In fact, I also bought Euro Truck Simulator 2. I'm getting it
You're
on Simulator.
truckers. You actually are the trucker.
That was on sale, so look for that.
Bill didn't. He bought actual Euro
Euro
truckers
truckers.
while he was in Ireland,
I
man.
looked,
and he's gonna show him the real truck stops.
My favorite part about the trucks in Europe, the lorries or whatever they call them, they have signs on the back that says "long vehicle." I've got XCOM 2. I got City Skylines. I haven't really started playing it, but I am going to go into that Ubisoft and buy the first iteration of tons of games and any of their $3 compatriots, lots of Splinter Cells. I think I'm going to get Brawlhalla because I suspect
It's free to play though.
I think we have 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon here. I think we know somebody who developed that game, and if it's like the original Smash Bros, I'm gonna have to check it out. But if I wasn't getting all of those other things, it'd be Cthulhu, dog. This game is fucking dog.
I'm gonna go with a couple of the Tom Clancy games for sure.
I think those Assassin's Creed games are. I think I'm gonna pick up Black Flag.
I think you should.
I haven't played it yet.
I already have
And
Black Flag
they're-
on Xbox though.
Never mind. I'll be playing it on Xbox.
You would recommend that others pick up.
I would recommend to others that they pick this up.
Mm-hmm.
Funny you should mention that because I would be picking it up and Odyssey.
Ah.
Was Odyssey in this? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
$24, still a pretty good price. I guess it's my turn. Well, I'm going to show you what's already in my cart because that's what I'm doing. I'm doing Far Cry New Dawn, Far Cry Primal Apex Edition for like an extra $1, and the first 4 Splinter Cell games, and I might add the 5th one.
You know what I think I'm also getting? It's like hentai experience too.
What?
What?
Bill's gonna get some porn.
I threw it in my cart because it was like it just said hentai and 90% off, and I was like, this will be great. So thanks for joining us again, everybody. Keep an eye out for our streams every Tuesday night at 7:30. Dr. Wet Farts and TGNA pair up for an incredible offering. I think if I can get the sound working, I think we're going to do some XCOM 2 this week. And you can watch me get bodied. Until next time, thank you for joining us. And don't forget to not always but make twists, switch it up. Glorp, glorp. Cock 'em, lock 'em, rock 'em, baby. Set to kill.